While he's known for his sensitive and moody ballads, this British rocker tried to break out of that mold with his third studio album. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brayton and welcome to WatchMojo.com. And today we're speaking with James Blunt about Some Kind of Trouble.
Too many noises, invisible wires keeping us apart.
How would you say your music has evolved from album to album?
Yeah, the first album I wrote mainly on the acoustic guitar because I've been traveling a lot in the army and there was nowhere to stick an amplifier in my tank or nowhere to plug it in. So I wrote these kind of, innocent, melancholy songs, and that first album, Back to Bedlam, had a naivety to it, and that was perhaps its charm. The second album I wrote again on acoustic, but I surrounded myself with my touring band, and so the album is richer in its sound, but at the same time, it's a darker album, and it's I suppose when I've been exposed to maybe a more cynical world, and you can kind of tell by the title of the album, All the Lost Souls, that's pretty damn miserable, and it was very personal in that way. And this third album is called Some Kind of Trouble, and for me it's a really exciting one. It's where I've realised I can pick up the electric guitar again. It throws me back to my teenage years, and many of the songs sound like a teenager when he has first picked up a guitar and making a noise, and it's found a little bit of innocence again, and for me that's why I'm really excited about the way the album sounds, about what the songs bring to my live show. I've got 3 albums now to choose from, 3 sets of singles off all those albums to choose from, and it gives a really great a variety and depth to a live show, so I'm really excited by what this third album does for that.
Slide over here, let your hands feel the way. There's no better method to communicate.
Let's talk about Some Kind of Trouble. You want to tell us any stories from the writing and recording process and what you were going for on that album?
This album, Some Kind of Trouble, I wrote and recorded in London in a studio, which for me is not home. I live in Spain on a Spanish island, so I went and lived some shallow moments with my friends on a Spanish island in various nightclubs. But then I went back to London, locked myself in a studio for over a year. And wrote this album. It came as a surprise to me, actually. I met up with this man called Steve Robson. I was supposed to go there for a beer to discuss, music. And when I walked into the studio, he was messing around on a piano, and I picked up an electric, and we wrote a song called Dangerous then and there.
She is dangerous, I know.
And it sounded really exciting to me. I said, you know what, can I come back in tomorrow and record it? And I did, and it sounded great. So I said, you know what, can I come in the next day and maybe we should do this again? And those days turned into weeks, and those weeks into months. And then a year later, we had done an album together, and I hope at some stage he called his wife to say he wasn't coming home through that time. But it was a surprise to me, but a really exciting natural development.
Slide over here, let your hands feel the way. There's no better method to communicate. Girl, stop your
Now, you mentioned that you basically locked yourself in the studio for a year. Do you normally only write in studio, or do you like to write on the road? And also, does the location where you're writing in affect the music?
Where you are absolutely can affect it, and I think that's why previously when I was writing on an acoustic guitar in a room on my own, I would write some pretty miserable songs saying, oh, poor old me. And then, this one I've written on an electric guitar in a studio, so I'm vibing off this man who I've done the album with, Steve Robson, and so just by discussing it, you become more animated, and so the songs are more optimistic and more up-tempo. As to where, previously where I've done them, I find it hard on the road because I'm normally hungover, but not exclusively in the studio, no. Sometimes little ideas will come, on what's going on in life, really. It's about how strongly you feel about something.
I'll be your man. I'll be your man.
Great, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
I'll be your man.